Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Little bit of volatility today, nothing major today. Yesterday was a little more exciting. Still in this fourth wave possibly, or wave 4 complete. I'm currently of the opinion that wave 4 could be complete, so we are following primarily this move to the upside, as explained in previous updates, because the price broke out above the previous highs and above the 2024 high, and it's currently maintaining this breakout structure, even though we haven't got a sustained break above the ascending trend line. So it's still worth to be on the side of caution. There is basically for risk management, there has to be a bearish alternative, which is the direct pathway here to the downside in wave 4. Okay, so maybe actually I will I'll shift these around. Oops, question mark, wave 4 moves to the right, because that's the assumption currently that the wave 4 is in. But as I said before, we have to still be very much on the side of caution. That B wave can easily take the price down lower in a C wave, okay? So please be aware of that. It's absolutely possible that we see a reset of wave 4 a little lower, okay? We only have 3 waves up. I said it before, this is not an impulsive move up, and we still have to be very much on the side of caution, especially in the current market environment. Nevertheless, the forecast has been for another rally to 50,000 plus. We might be getting there with this white structure, with this diagonal pattern. So let's take a look at the short-term bullish and short-term bearish scenario in a little bit more detail. But first of all, before we dive into the detailed stuff here, it's important to recognize that still 34,100 pretty much is still the main bullish support. It's going to be deep, okay, but that is currently still the valid support for a wave 4. I don't think we'll get there in a wave 4, even if we now get a C wave down, really looking at Fibonacci extensions, if it happens from here, and in a minute we're going to talk about the key levels, but if we get a move to the downside from here, we would, I mean, getting to 39K is already a stretch due to the high B wave, okay? It's just that this is generally, all the way down to 34K, generally the main support level for wave 4. But when we look at the internals, well, it would be very rare for a C wave to extend beyond the 1.618 extension level of the A wave. That would be beyond actually 39,850 from where we are now. Sometimes you get extensions possibly to the 2.618 in a wave C, but even that wouldn't reach the 50% fib level. So we'll see. It might mean that we would then need to look at something different. But for now, I can only share with you that unfortunately, even though I would love to rule it out, we cannot rule a high B wave out until we get 5 waves up. So it will be always lurking in the background, that B wave. You always need a bearish scenario anyway for risk management. So looking at the bullish, short-term bullish scenario, let's talk about that, because that's currently what we're following primarily, but it will also tell us which level, if broken, will send us back in the C wave to the downside. So in the short-term bullish scenario, the market is currently in a diagonal pattern. I've got even 2 counts for the diagonal. I've got one in which I say, okay, we have a wave 1, we have a wave 2. This was an ABC structure in wave 3, and it could be done. This is a wave 4, and one more high would be 5 waves. How reliable is that? Well, remember that I highlighted to you that normally we want to see a third wave get to the 1.38 extension in an ideal world. Anything below that is a little bit questionable. You know, strictly speaking, it fulfilled the minimum requirements and expectations for a third, but in crypto, it's a weak third. So I just want to highlight that it could be that this third is going to extend, but we had a pullback today. So what does that mean? That means, and that's basically the count I have for Ether at the moment. Well, that means what we see here could be ABC in wave A of 3. We're now doing a B wave of wave 3, and we then get a C wave. So all of that wouldn't really be a problem, but we just need to make sure that our support areas are also aligned with this scenario in case this plays out. I don't think they are. we might need to give it a little bit of space in case we get a B wave pullback here that is a little bit more substantial. It is that kind of market for that. So that means I probably have to, let me just think about it for a sec. But yeah, I would have to add the 78.6 retracement level, because if it's a B wave pullback, we want to allow it to go down to that level if it has to. Again, I don't like that count with a deep, but again, it could be wave 3 still unfolding, A wave, because A waves can be 3-wave moves. The only reason I consider that is because it hasn't reached the 1.38 extension. Had it done that, okay, but you know, the pullback is too sharp to still consider it really as part of the C wave. So, you know, my view is either we have already completed the third, it's a bit questionable, or we get an extension and that can send us higher. Bitcoin definitely keeps the door open for very aggressive extensions if it needs it, but also at the same time, it's not a very trustworthy pattern. That's what Elliott Wave tells us here. So again, it means be on the side of caution, volatility expected. The chart is basically telling us that. So just want to make you aware of this scenario that is a more direct extension to the upside. That means if we get a wild extension, it might not be wave 5 yet. It might just be an extension of the third. That would take us possibly to 50K or beyond, okay? So again, I'm not calling for that. I just want to mention that support has slightly changed to 43,472. That's the critical support. We have to give it that space in the current market. I mean, by now you will also, you know, everybody would have realized this is an extremely choppy market at the moment. So we just have to give it that space. And by considering those possibilities, we can recognize how much space we need to give it in a certain scenario. But that also means that a break below 43,470, yeah, a break below that would indicate that we are falling back in a wave C or 4. That's all I can do right now. Highlight that, yeah, trend is up clearly. The white count seems to be in control, and this is support. Against that, we can focus on higher below that level. Basically, 43,470 is for me the level that distinguishes between the yellow count, I mean, the yellow ABC, okay, where we come down lower, and the white extension to the upside, basically. I shouldn't say extension, it's basically the diagonal pattern that already sends us to 50K and beyond. You know, a move to 50,000 and beyond is expected anyway. The only question is, do we do it directly, or do we get that deeper pullback before it starts? Yeah, that's my update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.